Today's show is sponsored by City Theater. If you are a birthday person and you love making that whole week, maybe month, maybe season all about celebrating your big day, then the play Birthday Candles might be perfect for you. City Theater is presenting Birthday Candles by Noah Heidel and directed by Mark Masterson, and you can catch the show on the South Side from March 8th through the 30th. Join Ernestine as she takes us through a century of birthdays. The play is inquisitive, it's hilarious, it's heartwarming, and it asks big questions about our place in the universe and what we might do for the perfect gift. You can find out more and buy your tickets at citytheatercompany.org. Today on CityCast Pittsburgh, if you ride hard for fish fries or the St. Patrick's Day Parade, this is your month. We are sharing some of our favorite things to do in and around Pittsburgh this March, from the classic fair to weirder stuff, like something called the Bug Olympics. It's Thursday, February 27th. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. I'm with CityCast Mallory Falk and Sophia Lowe here to talk about all the best things to do this month.
Yes, it is spring almost. I'm very excited.
Yeah, and in case you're new to our show, welcome. Every month we give you a guide to all of our favorite things to do in the city. And then throughout the rest of the month, we talk about news, culture, everything you need to know to engage with our beautiful city of Pittsburgh.
And how to complain about it in like an informed way, you know?
That's important.
That is
There's
true.
a lot of good things. There are some things that could use some improvement.
Yeah. The best cheerleaders also have to be like a hair critical, you know?
Exactly.
But only good things today. What are y'all looking forward to doing this month?
I have been doing a lot of math for my garden. I'm starting seedlings for my first garden in Pittsburgh. I guess really my first like big garden endeavor ever. So
Sophia.
I'm very excited and also a little prepared to be disappointed because I have killed a fair amount of indoor plants in the past, hoping they fare better outside.
I mean, that is gardening all the time, like in Pittsburgh or not. You just have to prepare for disappointment, but also like, you know, like shoot for the stars. It's going to be great.
And I am shooting for the stars right now. I'm starting off with a bunch of seed swaps, hoping to get some freebies. Local libraries are a really great place to look for these kind of events. Like libraries in Millvale and Swissvale are both doing seed swaps on March 1st. And then the Carnegie Library's main location in Oakland has one on March 8th.
I did not know this kind of thing existed at the libraries, but it makes perfect sense. This is a very cool pro tip.
Yeah, get your books, get your seeds, maybe some books on gardening, I don't know. And then another organization I'll be tapping into as a major resource is Grow Pittsburgh. They have a ton of classes, which we often feature in the Hey Pittsburgh newsletter, so subscribe to that. But there's also like a growers library online, and they have a ton of free guides. So I've been perusing them. They have how to start seeds, spring planting, how to create a new garden space. So that kind of breaks down like raised beds and like the different ways you can just, you know, put plants into the ground.
And Grow Pittsburgh is always like really good about being like price conscious too, and like giving you different ways to do things that maybe don't break your wallet.
Yeah, and speaking of not breaking your wallet, they have a garden resource center. So you can apply as an individual or a group, and they have this sliding scale annual membership. Like the individual starts at just $20 a year, and it gives you access to a tool library, so you don't need to buy completely new things for like one garden task. And you also get stuff like compost and soil throughout the season.
Yeah, my partner, who is the master gardener in our family, he actually has a membership to the Garden Resource Center. And when we were starting our own garden and building our own garden beds in our backyard, it was such an invaluable resource. Like you said, Sophia, you can get soil and compost there. So that really got us started. We were also able to rent a weed whacker from their library, from their tool library, which has come in handy because we don't whack weeds enough to really need to buy one ourselves. So this has my personal stamp of approval. It is extremely useful.
And that membership too, like depending on the appliance, like the membership itself can cost less than the appliance does, and then you don't have to store it.
Exactly.
I also would shout out the Millvale tool library too. I have used that one on your recommendation, Sophia. I got a hedge trimmer once, like for free for a day, and like took care of a bunch of tasks and then returned it. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely. Starting a garden does not have to be this huge price sink. But if you are looking to buy some things, there are also some seedling sales at the East End Food Co-op that start in late March. This is also with Grow Pittsburgh. And then more places around Pittsburgh will also host these seedling sales throughout April. There is an enormous catalog of plants on Grow Pittsburgh's website. I had so much fun scrolling. There are literally 15 types of heirloom tomatoes, like not including cherry tomatoes, the little guys, like heirloom tomatoes. I'm so excited to have so many tomatoes. Yes.
And by the way, if you are new to town and that late March date feels late to you, it is not. Just a reminder, make sure you check out our growing season chart because it did recently change. And it's just a good way to like familiarize yourself with like what will grow here and when you need to plant it and like seed starting versus getting it into the ground, that kind of thing.
I hate raw tomatoes, so thinking about 15 different varieties is really upsetting to me, but I understand it will bring other people joy.
Tomatoes bring other people a lot of joy, specifically me. But
Same.
If you don't like tomatoes, what are you thinking about in March, Mallory?
So for some people, March signals spring break. It does for my family. And there's not like a big beach vacation on the horizon for us. So I'm excited to plan just like a little spring getaway outside of Pittsburgh, going to Laurel Highlands.
That's really wholesome for a spring break.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Little mountain time.
Yeah, little mountain time. It's perfect because, you know, most of the attractions there are only like an hour and a half drive from Pittsburgh. So if you want to have a little oasis outside the city, but not have to go too far, it's like just the right spot. You can do a day trip. You can stay overnight. There are tons of great outdoor activities there if the weather is nice, like tons of hiking, including a lot of hiking by waterfalls. It's got the Occoganey River Trail, which is part of the, you know, big bike trail that connects Pittsburgh to DC. And there's tons of bike rentals there, including e-bikes, which I thought was interesting.
Oh.
E-bikes, attachments for kids if you're traveling with little ones.
That's so smart. I didn't realize like a bike rental place would include that much stuff.
Yes, it's much higher tech than when I, you know, was first hitting the trails. But I actually want to focus on some indoor activities and indoor ways to enjoy this region because the weather can be so iffy in March in case it's, you know, you plan a trip and then it's just cold and gross and rainy. So obviously the big one is Falling Water, which is the famous house designed by Frank Lloyd Wright for the Kaufman family of Kaufman's Department Store, RIP. And you know, going any time of year is great, but if you go this March, there are actually some really special tours happening that you can really only do right now. There's this big preservation project happening at Falling Water right now.
No clue. Did not know that was happening.
Yeah, I did not know until I started to plan my trip, and at first was like, great, there's going to be scaffolding, stuff is going to be blocked off. This is the worst time to visit.
Yeah, it's like the furniture all gone or something.
Yeah, but it's actually really cool because they're doing these preservation and action tours where you can just see what it looks like and learn all about what it takes to preserve a site like this. And these aren't like little touch-ups. This is a major restoration project that they've been planning and fundraising for years. They got funds from the state, from the governor. And so if you're really into historic preservation, like this is really a kind of, I don't want to say once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm sure they're going to be preserving this house in the future, but it's something pretty unique. Like, especially if you've already been to Falling Water and want to experience it in a new way, March is the perfect time to visit.
Mallory, I looked this up after you suggested it when we were talking about what we were going to talk about. But I am just a little bit bummed that you also can't bring kids to this. Kids under 6 aren't allowed on the indoor parts of the tour, which makes sense. There's like so much history in there. You don't want itty bitty hands like accidentally breaking something incredibly valuable.
I have to restrain myself from touching. Like some of those rugs look really fancy and I'm like, I want to lay down and roll around in like the bear's skin.
I mean, there's a fair amount of Falling Water that you would be wise not to touch, not to sit on, like be mindful of your surroundings.
I do feel like you should kind of have to take an agility test before you tour because I am clumsy enough that I don't know that I'd do any better in there than a 6-year-old. But yeah, so if you are traveling with little kids, the indoor tour that they have, that's from March 15th through the end of the month. So got to be 6 and above to do that one. But if you can make it get out earlier, there is an outdoor grounds tour running through March 14th, and that one is for all ages. And then if you just can't get enough of the Frank Lloyd Wright architecture and you want to splurge, you can actually stay overnight in a house that he designed,
Like
not in falling water, not falling water.
Never mind. I got too excited.
I'm sorry to so quickly burst your bubble and destroy your fantasy, Sophia, but
I'm really just thinking about those rugs.
The rugs are elsewhere. I know where you're headed with this, Mallory. It's called Polymath Park, and it's all the charm of falling water. I mean, it's not literally built on a waterfall, but it's like the same style of architecture, but you can actually stay there. A friend of mine did it for her birthday.
Oh, you've been there?
Yeah, I went to the Duncan house. There's 4 different ones that you can stay in. It is really pricey, so it was like a special thing. And we all came out and had champagne on the couch. You can actually live and experience the spaces with that kind of 50s, 60s style architecture and some of the touches of all that. It was funny. We got some of the retro Jiffy Pop that you do over the stove, and it brings up the aluminum foil. I don't actually know what I was cooking with, but we intentionally bought stuff that was made or first hit the market back then, just so we could really revel in it.
That's brilliant.
It was great. And we all left at 9:30 or 10 so that she could have her serenity in the woods, just to herself.
That is also so smart to go as a group for a special occasion, because you mentioned these are pricey, Megan. It costs anywhere from $475 to $835 per night. Mm-hmm. So this really is a splurge.
That's a month's rent if you can find it cheap enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you are a huge architecture buff, and also if you can get a big enough group together, seems worth it. And if you don't have quite that much money to spend, there are so many other beautiful lodging options in the region, a bunch of rentals that are actually tree houses. I found one that's a tree house with a hot tub, which is my personal dream.
I have a question about this one. Do they have indoor plumbing? Because I've looked at treehouse Airbnbs that seem really cool, but have outhouses.
I mean, a hot tub suggests that there is plumbing.
There is an indoor bathroom in the listing. So
okay, good.
I think this might be the one for you, Sophia. But also, yeah, there's a ton of beautiful cabins with covered decks. And that's really my pro tip of if you're trying to do a little spring getaway, but you're worried about the weather in this region, find somewhere with a view, with a covered porch, a covered deck, so that even if it's raining the whole time, you can still sit outdoors and look out at the nature around you.
Well, when I'm thinking about a vacation, I always think about what I'm eating. Did your research get into that field, Mallory?
I did do a little bit of that. If you're going toward the beginning of the month, there's actually a maple taste and tour all throughout Somerset County the first 2 weekends in March.
This is made for you, Sophia. It's treats.
Yeah.
It is treats, and I love maple, and I think maple should be an all-year-round flavor.
Okay, Sophia, then this is totally for you. You get to go to different maple camps and take free tours, and most importantly, try products. There's a map of all the camps that are participating at somersetcountymaple.org if you're interested. And then there's also a bunch of activities at the Somerset Historical Center. So there's crafts, demonstrations, and again, most importantly, little treats like maple popped kettle corn.
Oh, that sounds so good.
Yeah. So, Sophia, I think I just planned your spring break itinerary.
At that historical center, I've been by that before. It's very cute. It's also free. Very important note.
Yes.
I'm going to bring it back to the city for mine. Just a quick reminder, some good news. Disco Sunday Disco starts up again this month. That's over around Trace Brewing. It's always a blast. It is always packed. They haven't set an official date yet, but keep an eye on their Instagram if you are excited to do that too.
Yeah, outdoor dance parties.
I'm so excited. This is one of my favorite dance parties in the city because it's 3 to 9 p.m. So I get my sunlight in, can tuck myself into bed at a reasonable hour. I think something Disco Sunday Disco started doing was moving to the graffiti side of Trace, the alleyway, just to kind of keep the noise closer to the bridge and all of that. But I think it's a really cool venue.
Today's show is sponsored by the Frick Pittsburgh Museum and Gardens and their newest, still upcoming exhibition. Mark your calendars for artist Kara Walker and her Harper's Pictorial History of the Civil War annotated. If you don't know Walker's work yet, this is a perfect time to acquaint yourself. Her contemporary artworks are on display all over the United States, literally San Francisco to New York, and soon right here in our own backyard. She has won a MacArthur Genius Grant. The Washington Post even called her this generation's Andy Warhol. She really brings the hype. Now, I have only seen pictures of this exhibition, so I'm going to be just like most of y'all, checking this out for the very first time. But we should look forward to big artworks. Walker's bringing 15 large-scale prints where she uses these striking black silhouettes over old Harper's Weekly engravings to depict the racist and violent reality that often gets glossed over in traditional historic narratives. Walker uses silhouettes in so much of her work. She says they really say a lot with very little information, just like a stereotype. The exhibition, Kara Walker, Harper's Pictorial History of the Civil War Annotated, opens soon at the Frick on March 1st. Get tickets and learn more at thefrickpittsburgh.org.
Ready to conquer your next big challenge? Make 2025 your medal year by signing up for the Dick's Sporting Goods Pittsburgh Marathon weekend of events. Happening May 3rd and 4th in Pittsburgh, it's more than a marathon. Choose from a marathon, relay, 5K, and more. And if you prefer walking, join the popular half-marathon walking division. The Pittsburgh Marathon isn't just about running. It's about community, celebration, and pushing yourself to new limits. Over 300,000 fans will be cheering you on through the streets of the Steel City. And the hardest step is the first one, signing up. A registration today is a commitment to your future self. Join the excitement by visiting thepittsburghmarathon.com. Use CityCast15 to save 15% off any event registration. That's thepittsburghmarathon.com. And again, use that code, CityCast15, for 15% off any event.
So let's move on to some food and drink recommendations. I think the thing that I am most pumped about early in the month is, of course, Mardi Gras and Fat Tuesday. Fat Tuesday is March 4th. But if you are a NOLA buff, you know that festivities are starting now as we're recording. I always have my live stream up of the big parades in New Orleans. But one way to get your fix here in Pittsburgh, one of my favorite gelato makers, so like ice cream, is Butterfat Gelato. They make incredible flavors all the time, but their Mardi Gras collection, which...
What is Mardi Gras gelato?
They have like a hurricane sorbetto, which is like, they say going to be like really light, but like kind of like booze adjacent.
Does that mean there's real booze in it? Can I get drunk while eating ice cream?
It says rum essence, which I don't know if that actually means rum. Probably just means like an extract of some kind.
Oh, wait, it says a rum-kissed zing. I don't know what that means.
I love the energy, Mallory. Mallory's ready for some rum over here. They also have a king cake flavor and a bananas Foster flavor. So really keeping it true.
Yum.
That's so brilliant.
Yeah, to the New Orleans spirit. Butterfat's products are always fantastic. Those flavors have already dropped, so make sure you check out their website. And if you're listening later in the month, they drop new flavors all the time. You do purchase online and then go pick up later, usually on the weekend. But good news, actually. I was walking down East Ohio Street the other day, and they have signs up all over in the empty space across from like Bistro to Go, kind of there on the corner by the park. So it sounds like we're going to be able to get our Butterfat Gelato pick-me-up anytime pretty soon.
Ooh, okay, Megan, these flavors I can get behind because, as you know, I lived in New Orleans for almost a decade, so I am extremely skeptical of any Mardi Gras festivities that take place outside of the city. I don't think Pittsburgh can truly match the New Orleans energy.
I am not here for this naysay attitude, Mallory.
I usually just opt out of Pittsburgh celebrations, but like a king cake gelato, that I can do. And if you are not a grump like me, there are some local celebrations that I'm sure are great. So on actual Mardi Gras Day, there is a Fat Tuesday party at Allegheny City Brewing. There's going to be a performance by Funky Miracle, which plays New Orleans style music. And then they will have fireside pizza on site. To be honest, this only increases my skepticism because why would your Mardi Gras Day food be pizza? That's sacrilege.
I mean, it's at a brewery.
Look, Allegheny City Brewing has a gorgeous little patio and a courtyard. Like, I actually think their space is perfect for a teeny tiny little Northside Mardi Gras.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I should not be such a grouch. Another option on Mardi Gras Day is Mardi Gras at Spoonwood in Bethel Park. So they're actually going to have Cajun food specials. Good on you, Spoonwood. They will also be serving hurricanes, not hurricane sorbet, like actual legitimate hurricanes, the drink. And then they're also going to be serving king cake for charity. So you pay $2.50 a slice and the proceeds go to the Pittsburgh Food Bank.
And then one more, a favorite of mine, the Allegheny Elks. So the Elks Lodge there on the north side. They always have a huge party every year. It's also on Fat Tuesday. Tickets are $20 in advance or $25 cash at the door. They're doing a kickoff parade, which I have seen before. It's very wholesome for Mardi Gras, I will say. 7 p.m. is when they step off. They're going to crown their own king and queen of Mardi Gras. But all of this is very important to Pittsburgh because even if you are a grouch like Mallory and you don't do Pittsburgh Mardi Gras, almost everyone else here in town is very excited for the start of fish fry season. Fat Tuesday means it's fish fry time, baby.
And I want to go to my first fish fry this March. I'm kind of embarrassed to say that I haven't gone to one in 2 years.
You should be embarrassed, actually.
I also don't know why.
Yeah, we're not going to make you feel any better about that, Sophia.
Okay, fine. Attack me, but I'm going to go. You can't attack me like this next year, but I'm also kind of shaming myself. Anyway, I will be peeping through this fish fry map that's made by Code for Pittsburgh. They do this big thing and update it every year. We actually talked to the organizer of this whole thing, Holland, last year, and she shared, some kind of behind the scenes of how they put this map together. It's literally like hundreds of places that do fish fries all around Pittsburgh. And you can filter for like things like if you want to go for lunch, if you want homemade pierogi. Like this map is really intense. It's so great.
It's got all the church basements in there.
Mm-hmm. But since I am going for my first time, do you all have any favorite fish fries or any tips for a first timer? Like besides the fish, is there anything else I need to get?
I think it depends on what you're into, right? Like, I mean, I know people, for example, that like don't like fish and they usually get like the shrimp, like, and sometimes they do it really fancy, like coconut shrimp. There's also a couple of them that do vegan options and veggie options, or like you can scroll by dessert and just try to get like one of the fancy desserts instead. Or in addition to, if I stop at a fish fry, I'm getting like 5 or 6 things because I'm going to be snacking on that all weekend long.
And just by the way, like if you're newer to Pittsburgh, if you're like, what the heck is a fish fry? This is on Fridays during Lent. Places will serve fish. And so it's a very big cultural tradition here in Pittsburgh.
And it happens all over too. Like, if for whatever reason a religious institution is not for you, there's like community halls, fire halls, like other places to get them.
I'm looking at the fish fry map right now and it includes Eaton Park, McKeesport. So really a spot for everyone.
Truly. And then, of course, right on the heels of Mardi Gras Day and the start of fish fry season, we also have St. Patrick's Day here in Pittsburgh, also effectively a city holiday. There are always so many events leading up to it. So Saturday on the 8th, there's going to be St. Practice Day. If you do not like drunken fools hanging out near you, don't go to the South Side on the Saturday before St. Patrick's Day parade. There's always a pierogi contest and a charity crawl. Folks dress up like it's everything. It is everything you want in like people watching. There's like the pretzel necklaces. People are acting a fool. And the later it gets, the sillier the South Side becomes on practice day.
I'm like kind of on the fence whether I want to go or not.
I mean, St. Patrick's Day is much more tame. You can find a little bit of everything, but I think St. Practice Day on the South Side is a very different experience.
Taking drunkenness on the South Side and multiplying it by like 100 is not my scene, but I'm excited for anyone who's into that.
It's like day drinking too, though. Like you're done pretty early. My favorite are the ones that like start out strong during the day. They go home and nap, and then they're back out on the South Side in the evening. This may or may not have been central to my own youth. There's also some other stuff to do. So on Thursday the 13th, there's an Irish cocktail class. So you can, learn the legit stuff. That's at PA Market in the Strip District. Friday on the 14th, there's a St. Patty's Day party at Sawa in Market Square downtown. I'm not actually sure what Sawa is.
That's new to me too.
It appears to be a new wine bar, which is very exciting. Might be a pop-up, but they're celebrating some Mediterranean fare. It looks like this is the old Nola in the Square or Barcadia space, depending on what era of Market Square you are familiar with. So that looks fun. That Friday too, there's also a Leprechaun Lounge happening at the Westmoreland Museum of Art. I love it when our art museums come to play on events like this. So they're offering like green beer and live music, and then you can check out the art, which just looks super fun.
I'm rescinding my cute for the green beer. That sounds really gross.
I mean, at least we're not like Chicago and dyeing the whole river, you know?
But is that just a result of our rivers being too brown and muddy to really pick up any other flavor, any other color?
I mean, their rivers are brown too. And then, of course, like the big celebration here in the city is usually that weekend before. So this year it's Saturday, March 15th. There's the big parade downtown. We have one of the biggest in the country. They step off at 10 a.m. And then a couple options before that. You can start the day with Jesus. There is a parade day mass at the big St. Patrick's Church there in the Strip District. That's at 8 a.m. At the same time, you can, worship the body. I guess there's a first time ever foot race and fun run just before the parade. So that's going to incorporate some of the parade route. It's called the Pittsburgh Parade Day Dash. You do get a free hoodie if you run it. This might be perfect for me and my very energetic child because there's like a 1 mile option, and that seems like really, really fun to do on St. Patrick's Day. I'm kind of stoked about it.
Somebody is going to do that drunk, and I am so happy for them.
I mean, they might. Yeah. I feel like starting early is like kind of a Pittsburgh tradition. And if you've never been to the parade itself, it is like a lot of fun, and people go down really early and like they get their spot and they tailgate. Like it kind of builds on that sports tradition of like the tailgating and the people watching, but without the sports ball of it all. I really, really like a parade. There's also a ton of bar crawls and other things. Like if you just like Google Pittsburgh St. Patrick's like bar crawl, there are so many options that day. Almost all of them kick off after the parade.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Yeah.
I do say wherever you land, maybe pour one out for one of my favorite spots, Riley's Pour House in Carnegie. They were just like always such a great spot for a pint on St. Patrick's Day, but they are not having their annual shindig this year because they are still rebuilding from a big fire back in November. So I'm excited to patronize them again once they're back open. Last up, we've got some fun events coming up to mark your March calendar for. We did each pick 2 here, and we're going to attempt to do them, I think, chronologically. So I will go first. Mine is the Jurassic Quest come into the convention center. It's actually this weekend, so February 28th through March 2nd. They're doing a dino experience. I guess it's traveling around the country. There's like animatronics and bounce houses.
Animatronics with baby dinos.
Yes.
I know about this too. I'm very invested.
Allegedly, you can like see baby dinosaurs. It's recommended for children ages 2 to 10 or in their early 20s, like Sophia. Tickets start out as very reasonable and go up to a little outside my price range, but it does look very fun if you've got a kiddo in your life.
And another activity that's really fun for kids or adults, Paige's Dairy Mart. That sweet, sweet first bite after that long line is so satisfying. They are opening up for the season on Friday, March 7th.
I love how that's an event. Like,
yes.
To me, it's an event.
Paige's opening day.
The place to see and be seen.
You got to get your ice cream under that drippy bridge. It's like a thing. Also, I will throw out daylight savings is that weekend too. So you get to have your ice cream and then you get a little extra hour of daylight back.
Oh my gosh. Cannot come soon enough.
I know. I'm so happy. That's Sunday, March 9th.
So I'm looking forward to something on Monday, March 17th, the Bug Olympics.
What the heck is that?
Yeah, so much like Jurassic Quest, this is geared toward kids. You get to learn about bugs' super skills and then compare their skills with yours. And then it is actually followed up by an event for adults, Native Bees of Pennsylvania. You'll learn about our state's native bees and what we can do to protect them. So this is in Bethel Park. It's hosted by the Allegheny Land Trust. So if you just want a day of like science and fun, this sounds great.
I love bees. I really want a beehive in my backyard, but I'm not allowed.
Air quotes coming out.
Well, on Saturday, March 22nd, you can find me at the Adult Book Fair at Lola's Beer. So
is this adult, like, kind of racy books? Is that the idea?
Are they spicy or are they just like for
all
people
genres
over 18?
I think all genres. I think this is just like an adult version of like the Scholastic Book Fair, maybe.
Mallory and I went elsewhere with this.
I mean, there could be romance books because, like I said, all genres. They'll have like banned books. But I think what's fun about this is that there are going to be lots of local authors and books, I think, maybe either about this region or kind of involve Pittsburgh in some way. So there's a bit of a local angle too. It's not just any book in the world.
Oh, that sounds really nice. Okay, so my next pick, it's happening that same weekend, running through March 30th. This is Speed the Musical at the Glitterbox Theater. So it is an unauthorized parody of the classic action movie from the 90s starring Keanu Reeves, my first crush.
That's the Keanu Reeves movie? Oh my God.
Yes, this was like the first movie I watched where I then developed a serious crush on someone. Also, when my parents rented it for like family movie night, they didn't realize that it involved like someone getting decapitated. And I was very young and it's really like embedded in my brain.
Spoilers, Mallory.
I didn't say who. This movie has been around since the early 90s. If you don't already know, what can I tell you? So clearly, I'm very excited for the musical version of this. It says it combines the classic plot of a runaway bus with a dash of campiness. I cannot wait to check this out.
Well, I'm going to bring a dose of competition. There's a Gumbo Fest coming up at the end of the month. It's March 30th. It's put on by the Afro-American Music Institute. I am stoked about any opportunity to try someone else's gumbo. I think mine is pretty good. There's improvements that can be made. But I love having like some of that good homey like coziness. It's so delicious. I've never had a bad one. It's like the best.
I love gumbo. Megan, next time you make it, please let me know so I can beg for a little bit.
I got you.
And reminder, if you're looking for even more to do, you can always find a great list of curated events up on our website. That's pittsburgh.citycast.fm/events.
That's all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. Don't sleep on that Hey Pittsburgh newsletter. If yins have not signed up for it, definitely subscribe. There are so many wonderful events and things to do in the city every single day. We will be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Talk to you soon. Do people know what fish fries are? Do we need to explain that?